on the Baker's Dozen, number 12, which is entitled Love and Pray. So, is love and pray both actions, and any other interesting things about this lesson?
Yeah, so we often think of love in terms of, of a spiritual attitude, of course it's from the nature of God. So it is in that sense, but you can also think of love in terms of action. We often think of love in terms of caring, and the word care means to grieve. And grieve is certainly an action, even though it's internal. And so loving those that, as God loves the world, it's loving those that have chosen not to do His will, that are harming others, and in the grief that God goes through by doing so, and that we share that grief with God as we choose to love and want the best for others that are not choosing the best things for themselves. And so praying then is asking God to intervene in those lives, helping others to come to that knowledge of Christ, have come to that point of willingness to surrender, give their lives to Christ, so that they can also join in this love, rather than being a part of the cause of grief.
Right. It's interesting. Like hardly I hear anyone describe for you to be caring to be grieving. I think the closest to that I've heard is Plato, right? Something that you are sick. If you're loved, so you're sick for something, right? But that's interesting. So you care enough to grieve over someone, right? So that's an actual action that you're doing by loving, and then to pray for them to come in the fold is another action. And anything else interesting about this lesson?
Yeah. So, well, you had mentioned, when we were talking about, love as should we use more, in our prayers, should we use more liturgy in our prayers or not? Yeah. And, I had to think about that one too, because often our prayers are, or at least, my prayers or things are more structured that we don't follow a specific liturgy in our prayers.
Oh, so you're, I just remembered our offline conversation. So you're actually reminding me of me asking if we should reinforce the priorities of prayer by introducing more and more sort of public praying and things. Okay.
Right. Yeah. So in that, I was thinking in terms of even our unstructured prayers, where we praise just our hearts to God. Oftentimes those can become repetitive. Ourselves, we end up finding ourselves praying for the same things over and over. Jesus had the admonition of saying to not do vain repetitions, and specifically with what some people in the various cultures were doing with their prayers of just chants and or things that had become just meaningless repetitions. But then 2 verses later, then he gives a structure for prayer, or he gives an example of prayer in the Lord's Prayer. And so I think there are values to both, I think there's
an order and a formal way of praying where everyone knows it and repeats it. You have a certain a script almost for praying, and you introduce into that script the things to say, right? And it's more structured that way, you're saying.
So I think there can be meaning in the Lord's Prayer. There's meaning in the Psalms. There's meaning in repeating those things, as well as in just the heartfelt, crying out to God in the things where the needs are as we grieve for others.
Okay, good. So thank you. Love and pray.
Love and pray.
Thank you.